One of the common challenges we see is the use of false friends, also known as false cognates. These can look similar in two languages, but they have very different meanings. And we usually see them in some languages more than others, but you really want to avoid them during CMS calls to avoid confusion in the call. Because remember, the time limit for each accuracy question is 7 minutes. So there's very little time to crawl your way out of a confusing situation. And an example of a false friend that we do see in CMS is, for example, in French, we notice that the word for deductible sounds very similar to the English word for franchise. So sometimes we have heard it used to replace the word deductible in English, but it's not the correct use in English. So I'm sure several false friends may come to mind as you in your working language. And so do everything possible to avoid them and to avoid delaying or having a delay in your test calls. So also another common mistake that we notice is the use of established terminology. Sometimes interpreters won't use the established terminology in the language. And whenever there is an equivalent in the target language, we encourage you to use that. CMS auditors are listening for the established terminology used in the industry. So using the lingo will make the call successful, and avoid repeating English terms when you render the response back to the CMS auditor. Oh, and lastly, this one is super important. We all know plan names are extremely important. They do help the client identify and provide the correct response, and they should be repeated correctly every single time they are used in the question and in the response. So these are the top three challenges that I would say often come up in CMS calls.